Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for anyone who is getting on here to check out and see what healing can be all about. Today, we're going to be talking about emotion code and heart walls a little bit more. And as many of you who have watched my journey have seen how I went from being outgoing to isolated, and then suddenly I find this thing where um, I want to talk about healing. I want to talk about getting back to the best version of yourself. And when I found emotion code, the most amazing part about finding emotion code is having someone to share it with. And a lot of times when you go through something in your life and you see this thing that actually works for you, that's making you feel better, or you want to completely switch past, you want to change your life, it's best to have someone that you totally love to share that with. So the amazing thing about this is that I've had some really amazing people that I can share this with, and the best part about that is being able to share their one. My next guest, the first person that I told about all of this was Rakell Nash. Rakell, for anyone who doesn't know who Rakell and I are to each other, Rakell has been my soulmate, and I don't use the word soulmate lightly. I was fortunate enough that when I was born, my parents were friends with her parents, and we were raised together. We're virtually the same age. Our birthdays are very close together. We grew up in the same town, and this girl has held all of my hopes and fears. She has been through every trial and tribulation, every major milestone in life, whether it was good or bad. Raquel was there for me. So being able to have somebody like that in your life, I am well aware of what a treasure that is. I am well aware that that is not something that is common to everyone, but having someone that you can go through a complete transformation of who you are and have someone to share it with, I've been extremely fortunate. So Raquel, thank you so much for being here. Raquel, where are you at right now?
I am in Vernal, Utah.
Excellent. My hometown, born and raised. I actually did grow up in a farming community in a small town, and my heart is still there. My name is Molly Kaiser. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. For any of you that don't know who I am, if a friend is sharing this with you and bringing you to me, for anyone who is logging on right now, thank you so much for being here. Please let us know like where you're at, because we stretch all over the world. We have friends everywhere. If you are catching this on the replay, please do hashtag replay just to let me know where you're at and that you're watching it again. So Raquel, thank you so much for hearing my message and for listening to me when I said I'm going to completely change. Thank you for being there when I was sad and depressed, and still loving me through that pain. I know it's miserable to try and watch somebody who's hurting, um, but being able to tell you that I'm going to revamp my whole life, I'm going to be a completely different person, and having someone like you that said, okay, yeah, all right, let's do that, was amazing. And having you be like, I want to do it too, was even more awesome. So Raquel, can you give us all a brief kind of how did this come to you? Like, what is your side of the coin?
I've been big into energy healing for about a year now. I'm always fascinated with what people consider the oddity and new things and, getting healthy. And that includes not only the physical, but the mental and the spiritual. So when you approached me, you actually brought it into my space, you and Sarah, 4 months ago, probably. And you're like, oh my gosh, you need to read this book. It's absolutely amazing. The book was The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And I was like, okay. And you're like, it's incredible. I've met this person that practices. And it just kind of escalated from there. And it just kept coming into my space. The emotion code, the emotion code, the emotion code. People started asking me about it. And I'm like, I have no idea what it was till I read the book. And then I had the privilege of seeing Dr. Bradley Nelson live in Salt Lake City a couple months ago at the Energy Healing Conference, and I was just absolutely blown away with what I saw right there on stage. It was just captivating to me.
And that was only practice. That wasn't even a full session. That was only being like, let me show you what the possibility is. That's amazing. So I know that when I reached out to you, I was in a very secluded state of mind. I had been sad. I had gone through this terrible depression. And the crazy thing was, is the depression lasted over a year. But what I didn't know is that I had been going through the same depression for over 4 years. You and I are together in the same company, which is Lavelle and which is Thrive. And I know that when you brought it to me then, Lavelle and Thrive, I was very depressed. I was very sad. I was kind of lost. And you reached out to me wanting to help me then with, just one aspect of what is, health and happiness, which is nutrition. And, just being able to help me with that was amazing. And here's the other thing, so much about energy anyways, and that has been awesome for me because I was able to tell you like, hey, I'm drained. Hey, I don't feel right. When it's more of a feeling than thinking, when you just know that you need something more in your life, when you just know that you're not being the best version of yourself. So Rakell, with you just being open to both the spiritual and the science aspect of things, you are a compilation of so many things. So what is it about energy that you love? Because energy healing is so many different things. It's not just one thing. It's not emotion code, but it is all feeling.
Oh, there's so many aspects to energy and all the things therein. I got fascinated with Reiki, is probably my introduction to it, and just how energy itself works. And, getting into the science behind it too, we're all connected to the same energetic field. And so when you bring in things like Reiki or any of the other modalities, there are no bad modalities as long as they're God-centered and coming from a higher power. But it's kind of like the internet. If people would take into account what the internet is and how we all plug our computers into the same, what seems to be endless amount of knowledge, which is the Google and the internet, energy is in a sense the same thing. It's this, but it actually is endless. It is vast. We have no comprehension of how big the energy field is. But every single person, every living being, every living plant plugs into the same energetic field. And so when it comes to healing and things like that, it's that same energy coming down into all of us, and the healer actually just becomes the conduit for the healing. So, I mean, in a nutshell, I could geek out on that all day long.
Yeah. I mean, so many people are like, wow, Molly, you've really found this gift. And I don't really feel like that. I feel like all of us have the ability to be awake to kind of what's going on. Like the biggest thing is just tapping into how you're feeling emotionally. Pain is your first aspect, even if it's emotional pain or if it's physical pain. It's a flag. It's such a blessing to be like, hey, something's not right, and you need to dig deeper. So for anybody who's watching right now who isn't your best friend, hey, and doesn't know you, what makes you such an expert in energy? What have you done to learn more about energy?
I don't consider myself an expert by any means, because the learning involved with energy work is just so far out there. I did get my Reiki Master certification last November, and started practicing Reiki, and that's been an absolute blessing, not only to myself, but to my family, my friends, that I can practice on and just help with getting people aligned. And I wanted to go into that and the emotion code, just because anxiety, depression, fear, heartache, all those things are so prevalent in almost every single person that I know has dealt with that in one way or another. And the ones that say they don't, they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, and it's going to catch up with them, because it caught up with me.
Yeah. I love that we were able to, not that I want to share like the sadder aspects of our life together. But it's awesome when somebody can relate to why you're down. Um, people who might not understand like depression or like being really down in the dumps or being overwhelmed or dealing with heartache, it is heavy. It is a lot to carry. I love that you brought up that you're Reiki Master certified. I have so many people that ask me because Reiki is becoming extremely common. A lot of people are really knowing it because they're appreciating what it can do for them. Like not so much what they can do for other people, but how it can change and grow their life. Like how they can be um, better in control of themselves and their energy and their field and what's happening around them. But many people ask me all the time, and I don't have any personal knowledge in Reiki. What is the difference between Reiki and emotion code? How is it different? Can you do the same things with emotion code that you can do with Reiki? Can you do the same things with Reiki as you can with emotion code?
They kind of intertwine in my perspective of it. Reiki is more like tuning into the chakras and the energy field. We all have 7 chakras throughout our body, actually about 144. But, Reiki is more feeling your way through things and summoning that energy, that healing energy from God to help put things back into alignment, to everything from finding your soul's purpose to clearing your throat so that you can communicate better. Like that's more the Reiki aspect of it. And emotion code dealt more with when we feel an emotion that doesn't fully process, it can get trapped in our body. And this, a lot of Reiki practitioners, they feel this in people. It might cause knee problems or back problems or headaches. And these little trapped balls of energy, they can actually affect your cellular growth. And to kind of geek out on you again, once the cellular growth is affected, every disease stems from a mutated cell. So that's just a disruption in the cellular growth. So almost every single commonly known chronic whatever can stem from a trapped emotion or a misalignment, with the exception of broken bones and lacerations, things like that. So it's absolutely fascinating. And the coolest thing about these Reiki, the emotion code, even body code, is everybody has the ability to do it. And it's not that anybody is special. It's just finding the understanding and being at peace enough to actually practice it, which I think is absolutely amazing. I think we'll all see the day someday when, before taking your kids to the doctor, mothers and parents are practicing Reiki on their children and seeing if they have a trapped emotion, if that's what's causing their cold. And so that was really cool to me. And it's, we practice here at home and it's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. I absolutely love that. Yeah, energy is everything. Energy is thoughts, and energy is it can be trapped. It can be blocked. I mean, there's so many different things that we can go into with energy. I mean, even acupuncture, that is energy. That is dealing with the rivers of energy in your body being blocked. And that's ancient Chinese medicine. I mean, 2,600 years old medicine. We're still using the same map of the rivers of energy and how we do blockages and different things like that. I love that we're not treating things disease with medicine so much anymore, and we're looking more of what we are energetically. So what have you experienced with emotion code? Which aspect of emotion code did you work on, and what, if you can explain to me, what were you like before and what was the result after?
That is a loaded question. Okay. So let me break
That's
it
why
down.
we're here.
So what I personally experienced, and I had both Molly working on me, you, and Emmanuel is actually who I started out with. I was seeking stress relief. That was what I initially started with, and then it just progressed into so many different avenues. But this summer, I had been dealing with anxiety that I hadn't felt since I was a child. I slipped into a depression, and I think a lot of that was watching all of the people that I loved, and the grief and the sadness and the darkness just kind of swept over a lot of people. So that's initially what I experienced. I had one session with Emmanuel that was I actually tried to cancel the session. I think it was my second session because I was having a panic attack. And he told me, he said, calm down. He says, you don't even need to speak. Let me see what comes up and let me help you. And I'm not joking, within 5-6 minutes, I just felt the anxiety start to calm. And towards halfway through the session, I could actually talk to him. But when we started, I was seriously just like this. In fact, I didn't even have my camera on because I had like the black mascara running down my face because I couldn't find the words. I couldn't find anything. And it was almost instantaneous that he started removing some of these emotions that had just stacked up on me all at once. And it was the coolest feeling ever. So now, I mean, we've had, I don't even know how many sessions of this. It's like the anxiety is not there. And the stress, it rolls off my shoulders just like it used to before some of these things got trapped. And I love that because I can function again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I love that you brought up the emotion that you were feeling, what you were going through. I think people have a misconception that because you have this strong front, being a strong, even entrepreneurial, or the mom that just has it together, or the woman that just gets the job done, that people assume that it's different for you. It's easier for you that, well, you don't have to deal with those kind of things. You don't deal with depression. You don't deal with anxiety. You don't deal with, like, your stress is different because your stress doesn't have to do with how heavy everybody else has to have it. And I know for a fact that I disrupted a lot of people's perceptions when they would catch me on an off day because I felt like I had to show up every time. I felt as though I couldn't say, no, I'm not okay. No, I can't do this today. So I would show up, and sometimes I couldn't carry the weight anymore, and I would crumple in the face of people who didn't know that I was just like everybody else, that I have just the same pains. And I know for a fact, sharing life with you, that you do as well. Can you tell people a little bit about how you have your own burdens and you have your own weight?
Yes, I'm human. Anybody that tells you they've got all their shit together is absolutely lying. That's all I can say. Everybody faces stress. Everybody, Jesse and I, we own a business, and no, I don't have to deal with some of the problems that some people face, but a lot of people don't have to deal with the problems that we face. We have our ranch, and that alone is a ton of stress. And it's like you have this plate and it gets full. And I have the uncanny habit of taking on other people's messes. And so that in itself fills a whole nother plate. I've got like one in each hand. I've got mine, I've got everybody else's, and it's just, I've never once told anybody that I have it all together. I might put on a happy face and be strong. I'm teaching my kids to be strong. I'm teaching the people around me to barrel through their problems, but it does catch up with you. I have dealt with anxiety off and on since I was 16 years old. I have had chronic cluster migraines since I was 18 years old. That's the world's way of telling me to slow down sometimes when you're in bed with a headache for 3 months. But I mean, everybody deals with with things differently. I've experienced loss. I've experienced grief just like the next person. And, we all have our daily struggles, every single one of us. And it's just how you can face them that makes the difference.
So you had your first session of Heart Walls, and I know from being with you that you were like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have time for this. Did it work? Yes, you fully believe that it was working. But what got you to the next session? And if you had emotional things that came up. You had things that you're going through and you were dealing with. What made you push through to removal of all heart walls? What got you to the point where you were like, another session? Because what made it worth it?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to understand what a heart wall is. Um, in my perception, when you have an emotion that gets trapped in you, one that you don't fully process, that maybe you just put on the shelf to deal with later, your body can create, your energy field can create a heart wall. And basically it's just a layer of protection around your heart to keep you from being brokenhearted, to keep you from being broken down. Even the term, it broke my heart. The heart's such a powerful thing, and it's basically what keeps us going. And so our body does everything in the world to protect it. So when people do suffer something or have multiple emotions hit them all at once, the body creates more and more layers around the heart. And I really believe this is where we get the term someone's cold-hearted. It's not they're cold-hearted. They've just been through so much that they have so many layers around their heart that they're not going to process something in front of you the same way somebody else would. And it also makes triggers for some people. If you have a heart wall that's built upon grief, maybe you can't deal with grief and loss the same as everybody else. It just completely overcomes you. So as far as the heart wall, when mine started to be removed, because all my life, like you said, people have been like, oh, you're so tough, you're so strong. And I just was really good at putting things on the shelf and dealing with them later when nobody was around. But those created layers, just like an onion, around my heart. And so when those started peeling away, it was just like putting on a pair of glasses. All of a sudden, things were clear again. I got to go back and revisit many emotions that I had put on the shelf for so long and ask myself, why? Why didn't I deal with that? Why didn't I process that? And now I feel lighter. Honestly, it's like somebody took the backpack off of me and said, let me carry this for a while. But in reality, it's not for a while. It was erased. Like the weight is gone, and I feel lighter. Like the increased understanding too of why people say and do things. It's like I'll see somebody in their reaction to an event and I'm like, I bet they have a heart wall. It's just almost like they deflected the emotion and they didn't process it. I don't know. It's something that's so hard to explain, but it feels good. It feels really good to know that you are feeling again and it's not affecting when you feel.
Yeah. So 92% of people in the world have heart walls. So you can bet that just about every person that you know has a heart wall. You do notice emotional things, emotional up and down, anxiety, depression. But the other thing is that you notice physical aspects as well. You may feel tired. You may have a low immune system. You may have physical pains and discomforts that are within your body. You will feel as though you can't communicate love, as though when you say something, that person is not hearing how much you care. You might not be able to receive love yourself when you have these heart walls. You'll have this feeling of numbness. People will say that they love you, but you just don't feel it. You're like, well, I hear what you're saying, but the but is heart walls. You will have a feeling of you're blocked from abundance. And abundance is a loaded word. Abundance is not just money and wealth. It of course is, but it's not. It's abundance of peace, abundance of clarity, abundance of friendships and love, and an abundance of knowledge. It's abundance of all things. When you're feeling lack, that lack is not your true being. It's not your true essence. Lack is heart walls. Lack is this energy that you carry around with you that is a lower frequency than who you are meant to be, and it leaves you feeling as though you are not enough. So, Rakell, did you ever experience with heart walls any physical discomforts, anything that wasn't just emotional but physical, and are they still there?
Me personally, my shoulders went from here down to here. It was almost like getting a massage on a soul level. It was for me, like I said, I'm prone to headaches, and when it hit the fan this summer, I just went like this and I waited, and I'm like, oh no, it's gonna come, it's gonna hit me, and it didn't. And so that in itself was like, okay, does that have anything to do with this? I don't know. I can't give it full credit, but I know that I was able to bring myself back down where I needed to be. But now with Jesse, on the other hand, He's had some work done with Molly,
and Jesse is Rakell's husband and one of my dear, dear best friends. Um, you don't just get one with them, you get a package deal, which is really awesome. So,
yeah.
So, what did Jesse experience?
So Jesse had been dealing with a rib issue for about 2 years now. And this pain, and it was a full-blown pain in his rib. He thought his rib was dislocated. And we'd been going to the chiropractor. We had been, massage, all sorts of things, Reiki. Nothing was helping. And it would help temporarily, but it was like the Band-Aid over the wound. And we were getting to the point that, we were starting to look into surgery because we didn't know what was wrong. And 2 years is a long time to deal with something. And it was also creating headaches for him. It was creating discomfort that stemmed all the way from his rib area all the way down to his knee. But through what Molly walked him through with the emotion code, we actually found out it was nothing to do with his rib. And it was something that was trapped actually in the lung. And removing that, I'll never forget the look on his face, because Jesse's a huge skeptic. He follows me along and he goes for whatever we do, but there's always that part of him that's realistic and really skeptical. And so I think he was just kind of humoring us, letting you work on him, because I couldn't work on him. We're too closely connected. It just, my stuff was coming up in him. So Molly was working on him. And when she identified the issue, we were both kind of shocked at what it was. And then once she was able to clear it, he just went, and he took a deep breath and he kind of did this, and he goes, and he hit mute on Zoom, and he goes, "Don't tell Molly, but it doesn't hurt anymore." And I'm like, "No, you tell her." And we are 9 days now that he's not felt any pain or discomfort there, because it's gone. It was removed. And he is completely blown away, and it's opened up a lot of crazy conversation with him and I, because he's like, "Man, this is the real deal, isn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, can you imagine?" Because for those of you that don't know him, he's a team roper, so he's always hurt. And he's, he rides horses, he wrangles cows, he's crazy, works in the oil field, so there's always something wrong. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is my answer to everything." And I'm like, "Well, maybe not that much, but it's going to help with a lot." So he's a firm believer now. I wish I could get him on. Maybe he'll do an interview with you one of these days and tell people about it, because I think he was just as shocked as both of us were.
I mean, me too. To say that I'm not surprised would be a lie. I am surprised by this form of healing every single day. I'm surprised by what it does for me. I'm surprised by what it does for other people every time it comes up. I say a prayer of gratitude, like, wow, how amazing. And that's why we want to tell everybody. That's why, is because this is crazy to find something to heal yourself, to get rid of the darkness that surrounds you sometimes, to get rid of the pain or the suffering or that thing that you just can't let go. To know now, like, I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I know, like, what could be the thing for forgiveness, what could be the thing for letting go, what could be the thing to heal, what could be the thing to reverse the signs of damage you've put your body through over time, is amazing. So I absolutely love that. Rakell, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I just want to kind of pick your brain for a second and just ask a few questions of you, short answers of, what you think, what you believe. What for you, what does healing mean?
Healing to me means finding the root and healing that. It's not going to the doctor and getting a medication that's just going to, cover up the symptoms. Healing to me is actually finding out what is wrong and taking care of it, whether that is making it going away or making it heal itself, or, erasing it with a magnet, whatever. Healing is huge. Everybody everybody I know could be healed in one way or another. So
Love it. Okay, so short answer, hard question. Can you tell me what pain means to you?
pain to me, I have, wow, you didn't tell me that he was going to be asking that one. Pain to me is something that cannot be described. It is debilitating. And I don't care if that's the pain from a headache, the pain from a heartache. Pain is something that affects you to the core. So, hey baby, so that you can't think about anything else. And there's so many different types of pain out there that, I mean, once again, that's an open-ended question, but pain is something that nobody should have to feel.
Love it. So, last question.
Okay.
Do you believe in coincidence?
No. I do not believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities, and I believe that everything happens exactly the way it should, when it should, where it should, how it should, and that every trial that we face is something that can leave us with a lesson learned, and that tomorrow is always a new day. But no, I do not believe coincidences. I believe that this modality, this fell into my lap exactly when it needed to, because if it would have a year ago, I would have never read the book. If it would have 10 years ago, I would have thought you were absolutely insane and probably never spoken to you again. I had to, I had to be in that space of being open-minded and have the things that have led me to the point I am today, to fully embrace this. I think that's why when you said we should do this, I was like, yeah, we totally should.
And I was so surprised. I was waiting for you to tell me enough of your glitter drink or whatever kind of unicorns you've been chasing. And when you said absolutely, instead of, well, I don't know, Molly, don't you think you need to more? You said no, absolutely. I don't think I would have jumped had you not have pushed me in the back like, this is amazing, good idea. Otherwise, I would have never gotten out of my own way because my hurt was so loud that I didn't believe I was good enough. I thought I had to be special, and I'm not special. I'm an everyday person that said I will be open to the possibility of helping others find the way to being their best self. Am I done? Hell no, I'm not done. We have so much work to do. It's like we just barely got started. It's like we just barely set up the board of Monopoly or Candyland, and we just barely picked out our person and which car we're driving. It's like I haven't even begun on this journey, which is so amazing. So Rakell, for anybody who is watching, who has made it towards the end and knows that the fact that they're watching this all the way through is not a coincidence, that this is something that could change their world. What do you say to the person that doesn't know? What do you say to the person that has questions right now? Is this for me?
I don't expect anybody to believe that it works until they experience it for themselves. Not everybody is open-minded. Not everybody's ready for this. But in the same sense, everybody needs this. And do a little bit of research. I am such a nerd when it comes to reading and videos. Go read the book Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. Look him up on YouTube. If you ever have the privilege of seeing the man in person, of course you'll walk away a believer, because it's like, oh my gosh. So take a chance and see what happens, because I promise it will change everything.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being here, Rakell. For anybody who wants to know, you can ask Rakell, you can ask me, whether you're my friend or hers, or whether you're someone completely new coming into our space because a friend has shared this with you and let you know, hey, I want you to be here with me. I don't want to do this by myself, or I did this and it works and it's amazing, and I want you to know more about it. For that person that's sharing this video, I want you to know, like, ask the questions. Look into it, ask friends, whatever it is. There is no weird thing that we've heard or seen that we haven't already seen once, and if not, we're completely open to whatever comes next. And for anybody who wants to give this a try, first session is free. All you have to do is reach out, because if I hadn't got my first session free, if Rakell hadn't gotten her first session for free, we would have been skeptic and never been growing. We would have been broken and never been healing. So by all means, share this up with a friend, tag somebody, let somebody else know, or if you just need to know more yourself, by all means ask. Don't be afraid. You can be hurt, but you can be healed too. So thank you so much everyone for tapping in, and I hope to share another friend again with you soon, and maybe even Rakell sharing friends soon too. As this journey is spreading, so many people are affected and changed. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.